And then in terms of pizza, people always ask me, which is your favorite, New York style or Chicago style? And I have to whisper this.
Guys, just very quickly, obviously want to thank you for all your support. So we've got a nice little surprise for you. We're just going to let someone in the chat.
Yes, it's Laurence.
You were right.
Laurence.
I can't see myself. Give me 1 second to figure that out. How do I show myself? This is so silly. Give me 1 second. I will figure this out. I promise you I am here.
Well, he might be here, but he's not all there.
Yeah, well, that's usually the case with me, I have to say.
Oh,
there we go.
There we go.
Yay. Again, Laurence, thank you so much for taking some time out. And happy Friday.
Yay.
Fridays.
Absolutely. Yes.
I should point out, I don't use Zoom because when it was, taking off at the beginning of the pandemic, I just quit my job to go full time on YouTube when the company that I was working for had started rolling out their Zoom. So I never really used it. So every time I join a Zoom chat, I just look like an idiot because I don't know how any of it works.
Don't worry, I think we all do. I think I set this Zoom up 4 p.m. London time.
Yes.
And you were panicking, weren't you, going to me? It's not showing.
It's not showing.
I must say I was a little confused by that because I saw that in the invite it said 4 p.m. London, but I just thought it must be London, Ohio or something.
We do have to say, Baby H, we've done quite a few reactions to your videos, and she is literally clapping her hands, and
she knows you, man.
She knows you. She does fist bumps as well. We did the chicken fried steak, and she was clapping.
Nice. Yeah,
looking at you, and she was trying to give you a fist bump.
A belated congratulations, by the way. And something I've learned in the last 4 years is that babies, for whatever reason, love me. I have 2 nieces now, and they just always sort of come to me. I think it's the glasses.
Our subscriber said, maybe it's your voice. Maybe she knows that you're in an English accent and she likes you. But she doesn't hear you because we've got headphones in when we're reacting. It's just purely your visual.
It's the visual. It's the glasses, I think.
And we call you Uncle Lawrence to us.
Uncle Lawrence,
look, it's Uncle Lawrence.
That's amazing. So I have several nieces and nephews now, then it seems. Yeah, wow. That is glorious to know.
Oh, and congratulations to you too on 400,000 subscribers.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. Yeah.
No, it's well deserved.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. It is strange because I just remember when I had 400 subscribers, and it was only 7 years ago, But at that time, I just remember thinking, well, if I'm going to make a success of this, I need to set a kind of a goal, and that goal was just 1 million subscribers. So I'm on the way, I suppose. But it's surreal every time I think about that.
No, it's fantastic.
Well, it's testament because we always say that you put in a tremendous amount of work in the background doing your research, but not only that, you make it entertaining, engaging, and you're very affable. And and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. But not just saying that, I promise you, hand on heart, not just saying that.
I haven't paid you, have I, to say
not yet,
this?
No. My parents are actually in America at the moment visiting my sister.
Oh, right.
And I'm not sure you may have heard, but they were like, they love you. And I go, obviously we've got a YouTube channel going, and they go, oh, really like the guy with the red glasses. Oh, Laurence, yeah. Do more reactions to him, is really good. I said, all right, do you not, our channel okay? Yeah, but get Laurence on again. I was like, oh, okay.
That's good. I mean, yeah, you'll be in trouble if I stop making videos then, I suppose.
Definitely.
So.
I'd be in trouble if I stopped doing videos, though, I suppose. I'd be out of a job. So, yeah, got to keep them going.
Got a couple of questions, if you don't mind. And
sure.
Maybe some of the patrons might have a couple of questions as well. Maybe if we ask a question and then one of the patrons asks a question. Yeah. We're very organised, Laurence.
Hey, you sound more organised than I do. So... That's good.
Just selfishly, I know you're a Star Wars fan like I am. I love Star Wars. I got my favourite ship here. I don't know if you can see.
I can. Boba Fett, Slave One. Yeah.
I need to ask you, what is your favourite film?
Of all of them, to this day, it's still The Empire Strikes Back for me.
Yes.
Oh, is it for you?
Yeah. Ditto.
Well, there we go. That's perfect. Yeah.
High five, fist bump.
High five. Yeah. If I try to fist bump you, I will break my computer. So I best be careful about that. No, it's sensational when you think about it, because back then in 1980, I mean, sequels of that nature, of that blockbuster nature, were relatively kind of new in a way, weren't they? To make something stronger than than the phenomenal original film, at least in my eyes, was quite a feat.
Brilliant. No, thank you. Any of the patrons like to ask a question? Everyone's got their hand up.
Tom's got a question. He said, where did you get your inspiration?
For doing the channel or just for the content that I talk about?
Tom, would you like to take the floor?
The whole channel. I mean, I love watching you. And it's just funny. You're second only to Mr. and Mrs. H, but you know, that'll give you something to step up to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, I need inspiration, so that give it to me. You know, it's funny. I was saying to my wife today that I think a big part of the inspiration for me for what I do just came from my childhood. I had a lot of fascination, genuine fascination with the United States. Hold on. Because of this book. This is a book that I took out of my school library when I was about 12 years old. In fact, it's even stamped here. Where is it? There. That was the first return date, and then I took it out for a second amount, and I just kept it. I just kept the book.
I think you're overdue. I
am a bit. Exactly. They're going to be high at this point. But that date right there, 18th of November, 1993, that was my 12th birthday. So I clearly treated myself to this book. And I just got fascinated with America. But I also got fascinated with just sort of weird trivia from an early age. I was always flicking through encyclopedias. And then concurrently with that, I just knew that I liked to make people laugh on the playground. You know, I just have this very early memory of doing that. Even people that I didn't like, or people that didn't like me, you know, bullies and the like, I would thwart them, not with my fists, but by trying to make them laugh a little bit. And sometimes that can be a useful weapon of its own. And I just sort of took that into being a YouTuber. A lot of things happened in between, right? I didn't just go from being a child to a YouTuber. That would be very weird. But in fact, what I did do is I went into the theatre when I was about 19. I became an actor and ended up doing it professionally in London and in Indianapolis as well. And I just wanted to transfer that theatrical experience to what I do on Lost in the Pond, because originally Lost in the Pond was just a blog. It was just a written blog years ago. And I just woke up one morning having done my last ever theatre show, which was about 7 years ago in Indianapolis. And I just said, I don't want to do this anymore, at least right now, because it doesn't pay very well, the theatre. So I'll see if I can make a go of it online. And that's basically what happened. But if you watch some of the early videos, they're painfully awkward, or I think they are. I find them very difficult to watch. And I think part of that is that every step of the way, I've tried to improve the videos and the product that I put out. And so you get to this point where you improve it so much that when you look back, you see how bare bones it was at the start and, you know, how many hurdles you had to jump. I don't know if that answered your question, but it's been an adventure.
It's nice to look back though, isn't it? I think it's important to look back because it's easy to take things for granted, you know, and like you say, looking back, I mean, I see you've recently rebranded, you know, with Lost in the Pond. And I think it's very, very clever with the two O's, red, like your glasses. And I think that's incredibly clever.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I think that it just sort of started to occur to me that, you know, my glasses for some reason are a part of my brand, you know. And to the point where children gravitate toward me because of them. And I just thought, well, let's work it in some way then and go from there.
You actually said, should we get some red glasses and put them on? And I thought, well, you might think we're taking a mickey out of him. But
well, it's a weird thing because, I mean, they are my actual glasses. You know, I didn't really buy them with the intention of making them a part of my character as such. But in fact, the reason I got them in the first place is I was playing football, the British kind, 3 years ago. I know that's weird to think that I was playing football at 38, but I was, and I got hit in the face with the ball and the glasses broke. Thankfully, not in my face. They just flew off, but they were damaged. And I replaced them at that time with this pair. And suddenly, if people notice me on the street, that's what they say, oh, I recognized your glasses. I just thought, well, yeah, I might as well try to lean into that a little bit.
Yeah, very clever. I like it.
Would you ever get embarrassed? That was one of my questions for you. When you're out filming in public, do you ever get embarrassed miss doing that.
It happened yesterday. It happens every time I film out. I do. I feel very self-conscious because I'm actually quite an introverted person, weirdly enough, you know, given that I do theatre and given that I do this, right? But I do feel quite introverted. And so, especially if I'm on my own, if my wife's there and she's filming, then it's okay because she can like beat them away, you know. I'm kidding. I don't condone violence in my job. But if she's there, it somehow feels better. I don't know why. But if I'm on my own, like I was yesterday, I keep having to look around, you know, just to make sure no one's really in earshot. I'll get this take. And it's a peculiar experience. I think I'd handle it better if I had a film crew or if I was working, say, for the BBC. It'd be completely different then. It would feel very much like my job. But sometimes at the back of my head, I'm thinking, oh, is this my job really? What would people think if they saw this, you know? So yeah, I do get self-conscious.
It's very difficult, isn't it? I did some videoing when I started doing like challenges and stuff, and I felt embarrassed recording myself in my garden because you know what it's like in Britain. Everyone can sort of look in and see your house. I was putting elastic bands around a pumpkin to see how many elastic bands would blow up a pumpkin. I remember setting it all up and I was like, oh hi, greetings. You know, I was really, really self-conscious and
shut you up, can we?
Well, you can. You just hit me really hard.
Not hard enough.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, hit harder. I really am condoning violence on this live stream. I should refrain from doing so. I have a similar experience, actually. A couple of 4th of Julys ago, about 5 of them. I did a video, but I was at my in-laws' house, and I didn't want to do it in the house, the filming, because everybody was chatting. So I just took it out into the garden, right, into the yard, put the camera on myself. But it was the 4th of July. People were around celebrating. So I just I made the quietest video I've ever made because I just didn't want anyone to know I was doing it. And weirdly enough, it helped the video, I think, because I came across, I think, as more relaxed in it than I'd previously been. It was accidental, really strange.
Go on then, John. I think John's one of your biggest fans. He's got a question.
I'm the John that's a troublemaker during your Sunday live chats.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you. I've been watching you for 3 years, and it's just a joy to watch. And also because of your plug video on electricity, I got to meet Mr. H on his channel.
When plugging into larger appliances like TVs. And this is great because it means I can safely watch Mr. H and his friends reacting to my videos.
I really, really like his humour. He's got such a dry British humour. I really, really like his videos. I have to say, he's up there as one of my favourite creators.
We have Patreon live streams every Sunday, to those of you that don't know. And to the point of Mr. H and the video, I think it was back in December, wasn't it, when I reacted to my reactors on film. You know, I think that's great that you discovered Mr. H through that, and that we are in this situation where that can happen, that we can do that in this world, sort of have these kind of communities within communities and just sort of bounce off each other. And I've enjoyed that process. I remember last year when I first started seeing people react to my videos, I didn't even know this was a thing, really. I mean, I knew people reacted to stuff, but I didn't really know that people did it to each other's channels and stuff like that. So it's just been a joy. Again, he's not paying me to say this officially, right?
So, not only that, but he got me to join Sean's channel too.
Oh yeah, exactly.
We've said this before. I don't want to get too deep about it, but it's a beautiful thing because we've got things like Discord chat and Patreon, and I think it's wonderful that obviously we're making friends. People say about Mr. H and friends, the friends are you guys, but it's wonderful when you make friends with each other. You know, people from different states are connecting and making friends, people you would never ever would have met ever. And it's just like, what a beautiful thing, what a wonderful thing that is, you know. And it's just we're very lucky. We've got a lovely community.
I think the fact that so many of our subscribers are probably your subscribers anyway, and that's how they found us. I mean, we know we've got the best community, but you must have a lovely community.
I have a fabulous community. I absolutely adore it.
Hang on, sorry, Laurence, I noticed the t-shirt.
It's Abraham Lincoln. So this is a really weird story. I did not design this T-shirt. I was at the Abraham Lincoln Museum in Springfield, Illinois. It's a fabulous museum. If you ever find yourself in Illinois, I highly recommend it. But I got all the way through, and at the end, in their museum, in their gift shop, was this T-shirt. So I just thought, I'm buying that.
It was cool of you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was so weird. And everyone thinks that it's my merchandise that I'm selling, and not at all. I just seemed fitting, so I bought it.
No, it's very apt.
Did you have a question, Mrs. H?
No, I think Ben does, though.
Ben?
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you, Ben?
Oh, very good. You know, it was funny because I got deployed down here south of in the southern border in Texas, right? And for the military. And I'm a teacher at heart because I teach geography. I think what drew me to you was your geographical comparisons, you know, with Britain as well as the United States. I think it was really awesome. And it just kind of reminded me, I don't know if you remember, this is probably maybe a little before your time. There was a TV show, a UK TV show from BBC. It was called Connections with James Burke. And he connected things from the past all the way to the present. And it kind of gave me that same vibe as that. And he was just amazing. I mean, of course he wore the flare pants and everything. It was like the disco era. Yeah. But his connections to history was just amazing. And when I started watching you, and then actually I got turned on to reaction videos and I saw like the H family, the Beasleys, and everyone else, you know, just really connecting with you when you described America. So I think what really attracted him was your dry humor. And I mean, literally, do you think a lot of your dry humor comes from, and pardon my pun, but almost not Benny Hill, but almost like a Monty Python kind of humor?
It could do. I was exposed to Monty Python when I was a child. I think actually though I probably got inspired by a lot of British comedians when I was younger. I often find myself just thinking of a certain person when I say a certain line. So Monty Python could be part of it. For sure. I think Blackadder was a big thing that I watched when I was younger.
Yeah. I love that show.
Yeah. And just absolutely loads of British comedy. My dad has a sense of humor, a strong sense of humor, and he would play these things. And I would see what he'd laugh at, and I'd be like, oh, he found that funny. Okay. I get it. So I started to incorporate that in things I did the older I got. And I don't know. I don't really remember not sort of making people laugh sometimes, and most of the time probably not even intentionally, but the outcome is still that I made them laugh, you know. And and I was just gonna say, and that's always a good outcome, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, because I love the British dry humor. You just have this like straight face and it's like boom, deliver the punchline, you know?
Yeah, well, I like to really lean into that straight face too, because I don't smile much in my videos. I'm more of a smiler in real life actually, but I think that sometimes, I think you're right, that dry delivery without too much happiness is often, it can really cement the humor a bit better, I think.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Ben. I've got a quick question that we've been discussing for a while. I think you're very, very tall. It's hard to say in videos. Can we ask how tall are you?
You can. I am in fact 11 feet tall. I am the tallest man on the planet. And no, I do know this. I'm taller than our new Prime Minister. I learned that this week.
Okay.
But precisely, I was 6'1" when I first moved to the US. Now I'm just under 6'1". Yes, this is something that happens as you get older, I suppose. And yeah, so there may come a time when I'm no longer even 6 feet tall, but that is roughly the height that I am. Yeah, it's weird because, you know, when you're sitting in front of the camera and you just sort of, it's just your waist up. People make a lot of assumptions. The thing is, they see my torso, which isn't the most elongated part of my body. That would be my legs. And that's what makes me tall. Yeah. So I think if my legs were in proportion to my torso, I'd probably be 5'7" or something like that. But I've always been quite lanky since I was younger.
Exactly same here.
It's funny because we were watching one of the videos, or reacted to one of the videos about your refrigerator.
Oh yeah.
Everyone was commenting on how small the refrigerator was, and people were saying, well, maybe it was because it's in an apartment and things like that. And then one of the subscribers, I think Jay Joy, her name was, or his name, said, well, actually, Laurence is quite tall, so I don't think the fridge is that small. I think it's just his height.
Yeah.
And then when you were with Sean the other day in the Country Fried Steak,
you looked a lot taller.
Yeah, Laurence is a lot taller than I thought he was.
Yeah.
It was funny because, and this is not a slight in any way, but Sean was maybe a bit shorter than I thought he was. He's not exactly short, you know, he was, but I think I just in my head, I thought, well, he's got to be my height, you know, because I think that's my default assumption of anyone really. Because it's my own experience, right? And then when people aren't, it's like, oh, wow, was not expecting that. Or if they're way taller as well. So yeah, it's so weird when you meet somebody in real life, having only ever met them online. It's a completely different experience. Yeah.
Erica wants to know, Laurence, what is your favorite food you've had since coming to America?
Oh, I've had so many. I really have. And, you know, some of these come with a caveat because I've actually given up added sugar now as part of my diet. And it's worked wonders. So I recommend it for anyone who's thinking about it. But it means that a lot of the foods that I previously loved, I can't eat anymore. For the most part, that would be pecan pie. That's my absolute most favorite dessert that I've had in the US. But I don't know, there's been just so many things. I found myself in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania last year, and I ordered, what do you call them? Crab cakes. I'd never had them before. They're quite popular, I guess, in that part of the world. And they were marvelous. They were really good, really good. And then in terms of pizza, people always ask me, you know, which is your favorite, New York style or Chicago style? And I have to whisper this because I'm in Chicago, but I actually prefer Detroit style pizza.
Wow.
I don't know. It's probably controversial to say that, but you should try it if you get the chance.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to, aren't we?
Oh, there's so many foods we want to try. And...
Yeah. Well, we've talked about it quite a lot, but we watch Somebody Feed Phil, don't we?
Oh, we love Somebody Feed Phil on Netflix.
Quite a lot of the time he goes through different places in America and we're like, yeah, we'll eat that. And then when you do something food related or we do food insider reactions, we're just forever hungry, aren't we?
Mrs. Hates cooked biscuits and gravy.
How nice.
The thing is, for me, when I first saw it, I thought, yeah, you know, you see a picture of it, think, yeah, look, you know, looks all right.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't over enamored. But when you cooked it, I thought, well, it smells quite nice. And as soon as I ate it, I was like, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Biscuits and gravy was among the first meals I had when I moved to the US because it's very popular in the Midwest, you know, and my mother-in-law specializes in making it. So, I got there and they made, and of course, I still wasn't yet familiar with the difference between our biscuits in the UK and biscuits here. So I was very confused when the two were put together until I saw what it was.
Like custard cream and gravy.
It's like a digestive in a vat of gravy.
Bisto. Yeah.
It's like,
how weird would that be?
I think you've answered Karen's question. So are you going to be having pecan pie this Thanksgiving?
This is a good question because I thought when I gave up added sugar that I would not be able to eat chocolate or ice cream or whatever. But it turns out you can actually get a lot of these things that don't have added sugar in them. They're made especially without it. And I've once or twice partaken in those things, and they're very nice. So I'd be interested to see what it would be like to have a pecan pie that doesn't have any kind of added sugar. I guess there are ways to do it. So probably, because I do love it that much. Yeah.
What was your verdict on pecan pie?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I had one. Ken B sent me one from Texas, and it was all wrapped up. And I had some really, really nice. And I'm guessing it'd be even nicer if you were having it served fresh. And
no, they are fantastic. Yeah.
And I guess Red Bay's question and pumpkin pie. So are you going to be having pumpkin pie, or do you like pumpkin pie?
Not a big fan, to be honest, and that's not the fault of pumpkin pies or the people that make them. I just haven't really warmed to the taste of cinnamon, and a lot of pumpkin pies seem to come with that taste. But also just pumpkin filling for me, I've never really warmed to it very much. Happy to try it again, but it's just, I don't know, I find it tricky. I know a lot of people do love it. Yeah.
If you don't like cinnamon, Laurence, do you not like cinnamon rolls?
I don't like cinnamon rolls. I do like curries, which often have cinnamon, built into it, but you typically can't taste the cinnamon. It's usually the other spices that are coming through. So I don't really eat cinnamon rolls. I don't know what it is. I never really grew up with it much. And cinnamon is more a component of American desserts and American snacks than it is British. You know, we don't really overload our stuff with cinnamon. So
leaves more for me.
Mrs. H loves cinnamon rolls, don't you?
I do.
Tara thinks the same way, my wife. Yeah.
Any patrons want to actually ask a question rather than text it, then please feel free.
Well, Kaz has got a question. Just said, what's your favourite state since you visited America?
Oh, controversial.
Oh, wow. Very controversial. Yeah.
Shall we ask everyone to tell you what state they're from first?
Yeah, we should do that. So the thing is about this, I do like to be sort of honest with what I've enjoyed. You know, generally speaking, I've enjoyed just about everywhere that I've gone, you know, state-wise. But it's a really hard question to answer, because I just feel like so many places have so much to offer. From a visiting standpoint, I have great memories of visiting Pennsylvania last year, because it's not just about Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. It's the beauty that's in between. Right, just rolling Appalachian mountains everywhere, all around you. It's amazing, and the state itself is just one that's historically interesting too. Well, I don't know. I just, you know, I've been to I think over half of the states now, and everywhere's got a story to tell, and everywhere's got a, you know, has grabbed my attention in some way. So we'll see. I mean, they say of some states that some states are boring, right? So Iowa gets tagged with that. Illinois, with outside of Chicago, gets tagged with that. But I somehow don't believe this to be true. I feel like if I were to go to those states, I would still find the beauty in them. You know,
what is your favorite state?
My favorite state.
You did say in the last video, Mr. H said the last video, Laurence for Prime Minister, which I think that was a very diplomatic answer.
You didn't actually answer it, so you'd be a great politician.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I'd be good. I'd find a way around it. Well, I more or less said Pennsylvania, I suppose, but that's only from like a visitation standpoint, and also it's a fairly recent memory, so I'm kind of hooking on to that.
Yeah.
But in terms of living, I mean, I've lived only in 2 states, you know, and I must say that I've had a better time living in Illinois, or at least my life's taken on a more favorable trajectory living in Illinois. But it's not really because I was living in Illinois. So it's really my answer there would only be wrapped up in the fact that I've had a pretty successful time. It's so hard to answer. It's not me trying to dodge the question. I find it hard to say one place over the other.
No, that's fair enough. Like you say, every state's different and offers something different.
Talking of geography, are the travel vlogs going to continue, or be revitalized, shall I say? I
hope so. Yeah, I do hope so. I'm kind of well, you'll see later this evening, hopefully. But I'm trying to now release some specials, monthly specials. I don't know if you remember when I did a video about, I don't know if you've seen it, but it was a video about some mourning doves that planted themselves down in my window over here. And that video, it just took a lot of storyboarding, right? And I scripted and all sorts, and just there was a lot of kind of movement with that video, and it did really well. And I just thought, wow, I really enjoyed making that. I want to do more videos like that, but I can't always do them because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, what if I do one of those kind of videos a month and then build toward those? And I was thinking that as part of that could incorporate travel videos some point down the road.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Would that be on a separate channel, or would it be still Lost in the Pond?
Still Lost in the Pond. Yeah, I kind of have this theory that if I were to launch a second channel, I would burn the candle at both ends, really. I wouldn't know which one to devote the most time to. I'd be like, well, okay, I've got to get a video out on this channel, but this channel is getting away from me. You know, I could see that happening. Really, unless I get to a point where I have a staff, or, you know, I've got enough of a following to justify splitting my time between 2 channels, then I'm just going to continue, I think, with Lost in the Pond.
Music to our ears, because we love it, don't we?
Yeah.
Great channel.
Thanks.
I know I've said it to you before, you know, you were one of the few big channels that took the time to message me back. We always try our best to do things right, and we ask permission. You know, a lot of times we don't ever hear anything back, but, you know, you were very kind, and I'll never forget that. You know, you took your time and say, yeah, no, that's fine, feel free. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
I remember you messaging me, and I appreciated that too. I think that was the other thing that made me really consider the notion of reaction videos. People ask me, what do you think of people reacting to your videos? Don't you feel like it's, you know, weird in some way? And I did at first, just because, like, I've never experienced this kind of thing. But I think you reaching out and the Beasleys as well, it just made me think, well, there are actual humans behind this, obviously. I wouldn't want to see a bot reacting to my videos. No, I take that back. I would. That would be really weird. That would be interesting to watch. And I just thought, well, this sounds great. Yeah, let's just see what happens. And so far, I've now spoken to you both. I've spoken to the Beasleys, and it's been a crazy ride of a year.
Oh, long may it continue in terms of the success and the craziness in a good way, obviously.
Yeah, it is fun. I mean, again, we're not blowing smoke up your bottom, but it's always fun reacting to you because we know we're going to get a giggle. Sometimes we react to something and it can be quite hard, not hard going, but there's a lot of information. You've really got to take everything in. Really, I should be making more notes. But with yourself, it's just, I kind of wish I had teachers like you when I was a kid, because I'd have learned a lot more, if that makes sense. It's fun, it's a journey, but you're learning as well.
Yeah, I go back to some of my earlier videos. There's one or two of those where I was just quite dry, and I don't mean in a sense of humor type way, but dry in my delivery. It was just quite matter of fact. There was no real gags, there was no real humor. It was just me reading off information or whatever. Most of the time it wasn't like that, but there was some, and I just thought, wow, I can't believe I did that. I wouldn't want to watch that, so I knew that I had to sort of shift things. And that shift actually happened about the start of the pandemic. I just found myself thinking, I feel like I've got to infuse a bit more comedy into this. And that's really when it evolved, I think, into the red glasses era of Lost in the Pond.
So if you weren't doing YouTube, what do you think you would be doing?
Oh, gosh. Well, I can tell you what I was doing. I was a consultant for healthcare companies and healthcare individuals. I was based in Chicago, but they were based in Idaho. That's why I'd often go out to Boise. It wasn't necessarily my dream job. I just sort of ended up there, and I learned a lot from it and actually was able to use some of it in my YouTube life. But what would I be doing? I don't really know. I think I've always, at least since the age of about 19, wanted to be a performer, because that's when I started doing theatre, and I just thought, oh gosh, I love this. Absolutely love it. And of course, performing to people on the internet was not really a viable option in whenever that was, 2001. So I never really considered that at the time. So I probably would be still involved, hopefully anyway, in the theatre, or trying to work my way into TV or whatever it might be. That's what a lot of my friends have gone on to do since leaving theatre and whatnot. But I don't know. It's hard to think really, because it's just, this is my reality now. Yeah.
Are you having fun doing it?
I'm having enormous fun doing it. I mean, even though I was out yesterday filming and felt self-conscious, after I finished the shoot, I did have a bit of a giggle to myself. It was some of the things I just said in public. Some of the stupid things I said. And it was, I mean, I enjoy it immensely. It probably doesn't seem like that in my videos, because I just have a very, but I'm having enormous fun just saying the silliest things that I can think of and not get demonetized.
It makes me laugh, like the facial expressions you do, like when you're on the subway or the train and filming yourself and you just look like hilarious face. Were people in the carriage when you were doing that?
They were. This must be the chicken fried steak video, I assume. Yeah, I remember that. There were in fact, there was a woman just about 2 feet from me as I was holding it there. But I was like, I've got to get this footage, and she's not getting off the train. So I'll just do it. And if she thinks I'm weird, so be it, It was very weird. Yeah,
it was hilarious.
Yeah, I loved it.
It's hilarious.
Over to Red Bay for a question.
Laurence, in your videos, do you have to do much research for them? Is it just basically observation that you've had from when you lived in the UK and now living here?
That's a great question, because some videos are very research heavy. And then there'll come times when you've got to get a video out, but you don't really have time to do all that research. So then that's at the point often when I draw upon my experiences, and I can just sort of skip the research and just speak to what I've seen and what I know. So I do a bit of both, really. Yeah, and I think in recent times, I've leaned more into going through my experiences, but I love doing the research stuff too, because you find out so much weird things, or so many weird that I didn't previously know about language, about food, about history. I must say I've learned just as much from doing this channel as I hope that my audience has.
Do you get recognized a lot when you go out?
I do. Yeah, I do. In Chicago, I do. It was weird because we blew up during the pandemic, and we spent most of the time in the house during the pandemic. pandemic. And so beforehand, I was recognized maybe once a year or something like that. I say before the pandemic, I mean, it's still sort of with us, but like a year in, we sold a dishwasher that this couple came to pick up at our apartment. And when they came up the stairs, they said, "Are you Laurence from Lost in the Pond?" Oh, wow, yeah. Next day, I went for a walk. Somebody recognized me down the street, and then it kept happening around my local area. And it was just like I didn't even think about this during the time I was in lockdown, but when I came out, yeah, it was just people were recognizing the glasses, I think, and coming up to me and saying things. And yeah, that's just kind of how it's been for, better part of a year and a half now. It was definitely weird at first, but it's nice though, because you get to interact with people that, as you say, you otherwise wouldn't. So far, haven't been asked for an autograph, so we're living in a different age, I think.
Kaz, do you want to take the floor?
So, Laurence, how do you decide what topic you're going to make your videos on next?
The great question, and I don't know if I have a particularly beautiful answer to this, but I just do a video based on what I'm feeling at the time. With a chicken fried steak, for example, I just spoken about it with Sean, the Scottish vlogger, in the video we did together. And I was just thinking about it a lot afterward. I just thought, well, chicken fried steak, what is that? And I just thought, I've got to do a video on this. So most of the time, it's instinct driven. It's just what I'm feeling in that moment. Because I do feel if you make videos about something that you care about, the outcome is probably going to be better and stronger because you care about it, and that should then feed into your audience's enthusiasm, I hope. And that's often how it is. But sometimes I will base it on the time of year we're in. So, I might do something about autumn, for example, stay tuned, or Christmassy themed or something like that. And that often drives what I do. And then sometimes I'll just think to myself, you know what, I haven't done a video about words in about 4 weeks. I need a words video right now. And I just go into it.
So you just said then autumn rather than fall. Did you do that quite frequently? Do you say the English version of a word rather than American? I
do, I think. Although I should reiterate, the word autumn is used in the US. You will hear it occasionally. But of course, fall is the preferred term. But I do find myself still using British words for sure. Like earlier on, I said that, my technological skills are rubbish. I would very rarely say trash or whatever the equivalent would be for that. But if I am talking about the actual trash that needs taking out, I usually say trash because it's quite a functional word and it's something you do every day and it's something you converse with the person you're living with. I'm just taking out the trash, and she's American. So those are the moments where I find myself going into American English, is when it's sort of those everyday words.
Do you find it hard to switch between the two, or has it become quite natural living there? And like you say, your partner is American.
I'd say it's become natural after all this time, and of course we grow up in England with American television too. So we already have that kind of pre-feeding of American English. And so I would say probably within the first 6 months, I was saying these terms. I probably won't ever let them go now, even if I were to move back to Britain one day, I'd still take some of these words with me and probably will do for life.
For me, growing up in the 80s, the films were very romantic about America. The sun always shined, everyone was happy, high school was cool. And my first holiday when I was 17 was to Florida, my first ever overseas trip. Loved it, loved the people. And I don't know, where was I going with that?
I hear what you're saying. I mean, Florida was my first overseas visit too when I was 8 years old. And it was around that time I was just fascinated with all things America. I remember being on the plane, sitting next to an American family and just hearing the mother's accent. I just thought, oh, it's a real American person, because you just think of the movies. It feels glamorous. I wonder if Americans are aware that in Britain, sometimes we do have this kind of feeling toward Americans, that there's kind of Americans, that they are special people in that respect.
It's a lovely place. And where I was going with it, whenever I go over to America, I instantaneously release my British shackles in terms of I get a bit louder and I get a bit more like whoop. you know, and I enjoy myself. It's very different over in the UK. I don't feel like I'm going to look stupid if I like whoop or get really excited about something. And I just get into it. If I did something like over here, I'd probably get harassed.
Or assume that you're drunk or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think America has influenced me in the sense that I've become more success-minded. Right? I think if I was in Britain, I'm not sure if I'd still be as driven to succeed on YouTube. I don't know, but it just feels like culturally here, there's often a language around succeeding and, you know, being the best you can be and all of that.
We've got another question from Ben. Are you there, Ben?
Yes. You know, you were talking about covering the States, and I know the U.S. is huge. You know, you've talked about that plenty of times in your blogs and in your videos, but are you planning on exploring different aspects of different parts of the US?
Yeah, there's actually a bunch of places that I want to see, because even though I've covered probably, like I said, over half the states, I looked at what that constitutes on the map, and I've not covered anywhere close to even 5% of the land mass, because it's so huge, you know. And so I would just love to see more of it. There's the Deep South, the exception of Florida. I haven't been there yet. There are the Great Plains. People say, oh, that's boring, but no, I want to experience it for myself, just to be out there in the Great Plains, so long as there are not too many tornadoes. Alaska and Hawaii, you know, it's easy in our brains to just think of the contiguous United States, but I'd love to see those as well and just keep looking at it. But it's tricky because right now my wife works out of the house, so we just have to basically do it around her schedule at this point.
So talking of your wife, Mandy's asked as well, how is Cora and Kafka doing?
They are both very good. Yeah, I mean, he's here today, but he's fast asleep at this time of day because he's 12. He's nearly 13, you know, so he's getting on a bit. But he's been very good, and he's in good health according to the vet. And then she is doing great too. I mean, she's, like I said, working now for a historic farm here in Illinois and is loving that. Everything's great. The funny thing about that is a number of people, I'd seen comments from people saying, Did you both divorce? Did you split up? Right? Because they'd not seen her in ages, and it's just because she got a job. But she used to be in my videos every now and again, and we got a chuckle out of that people speculate over those kind of things. And but they're both good. She's working late tonight, so
we've got a couple more questions if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Laurence. James said, I haven't seen Uncle Toby. Is he ever going to be on a chat again?
Well, I don't know if Uncle Toby will make an appearance in the chat or not. Either way, I know that he's been serving a bit of time at Grimsby Prison for some untoward behaviour, which I can't get into because of the legality of the whole thing. But he's in trouble. I know that much. Yeah.
Wendy said, have you not been to Texas? That was a question.
So, well, and the answer is, it's complicated because I have, in a sense, put my feet on Texan soil in that I walked through the airport, which, now that I've said that out loud, isn't really made of soil, so it doesn't work. But I stopped off at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport for about an hour a few years ago. I did see a cowboy hat, so I feel like I was officially there. But at the same time, I don't count airport visits, so I guess I can't really say that I have.
Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate you taking time out.
Been a pleasure. Thank you for giving me security clearance to come on the show. It's been fantastic.
But next time it might be a bit more of a challenge. Now we know about Uncle Toby, but you know.
Yeah. True.
Have a lovely, lovely weekend.
Same to you and everybody else that was on today. It was great interacting with you.
Lawrence.
Thank
you
so much.
Lawrence.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too.
How cool was that?
Well, thank you, Mr. Eric.
That was very cool, wasn't it?
Awesome.
I actually thought maybe y'all were going to tell us that you were pregnant again. I was like,
well, that's what some of them
That
said
crossed
the
my
other day.
mind. That crossed my mind.